What's going on YouTube? I was sitting here tonight and I was just starting to put together my financial plan for 2025. So every year around this time, I start to think about what I want my following year to look like from a financial perspective, and I start to map that out early on. So when January hits, I already have my plan in place and I just need to make sure that I follow my plan. And this year is no different, right? So in today's video, what I wanted to do is walk you through some of the things that I think about as I'm putting that plan together. And some of the things that I may go over in today's video may help you out as you start to map out your 2025 financial goals. And the very first thing that I think about as we head into a new year is my 401k. So I know there are some people out there that are completely against any type of 401k, Roth 401k, IRA. They would rather take their money and have that money available to invest now. And that's fine. I think the way that we invest is something that's personal for every single person. What works for me may not work for you, and vice versa. And I like to invest in my 401k for various reasons. Now, the first reason is that the company that I currently work at, I do get a match at my 401k. So I'm always going to encourage people to at least contribute up into the match, just because you don't want to leave that money on the table. And the second reason is because I want to make sure that I'm building a nice nest egg for my retirement. Now, 401k is not the only account that I invest in. I do have several other brokerage accounts that I invest in, and I make sure that I do that on a monthly basis, but I'm also making sure that I'm funding my 401k because I want to make sure that I'm investing my money in various financial buckets to secure my financial future. Because I don't know about you, but I am not going to sit around and hope that Social Security will be available whenever I reach retirement age. I'm making sure that I'm taking those actions right now to secure my financial future. Now, the very first thing that I want to figure out about my 401k is how much I'm going to contribute. And when I was younger, what I really like to do is every single year I would increase my contribution by 1%. So if I was getting a 3 or a 4% raise, I would go ahead and increase my 401 contribution by at least 1%. And I would see a little bit of a bump in my take-home pay, but there really wasn't much of a change in my day-to-day life because I was making just a little bit more money, but I was able to divert additional income towards my 401k. And I've continued to do that up until this point. Now I have kind of capped out where I want my 401k contribution to be every single year. So at this point, I'm not really focusing on increasing my contribution, but really just rebalancing my portfolio, which leads me to the second thing that I like to do around this time every single year, which is scheduling a call with the financial advisor. Now, whenever you are investing in a 401k through your organization, the brokerage that's holding your 401k will often allow you to have free calls with financial advisor. Now, there are several reasons of why you would want to have a call with a financial advisor. And the first reason would be is to have a very high level conversation regarding your retirement goals. And that financial advisor will ask you a bunch of questions, and they will help you to determine what steps that you need to take to ensure that you hit the goals that you set for yourself. Now, it's important to have that conversation with your advisor, but you have to be the person that is leading that call. So you want to make sure that you have your goal that's going to work specifically for you, and you talk that through with your advisor, and he or she will help you to map out the things that you need to do in order to get to that goal. And the second reason that you want to have that conversation with an advisor is you want to understand all of the fees associated with your 401k. So a lot of people don't realize that the investment firm that is holding your 401k account charges a fee to manage your account. Now, there is a general just administrative fee that everybody pays, because you're a part of the 401k program and they are holding your funds. And then there's an additional fee depending on what you're invested in. So if you're investing in mutual funds, there is a fee for that. If you're investing in ETFs and index funds, there's a fee for that as well. So you want to make sure that you are asking those questions to that financial advisor and you understand all of the fees that are associated with your retirement account, because I can tell you that not all of the funds in your account are created equal. There are some funds that are substantially more expensive for you to be in. So you want to make sure that you're asking all of those questions when you're talking to your financial advisor so you can make the best informed decision for yourself. All right, so once I've determined how I want my 401k to look from a rebalancing perspective, and I've had that call with the financial advisor to make sure that I'm still on track with my retirement goals and to update him or her on anything that's changed, the next thing that I really start to think about is taxes. And once you start making more money, taxes are something that you want to make sure that you're keeping an eye on and that you understand. So I was taking a look online last week and I saw that the federal government released the new federal tax guidelines for 2025. And I'm going to pay attention to that because I want to see if there's anything that I can do that will allow me to legally reduce my taxes for the following year. So in the United States, we have a progressive tax system. So what that essentially means is that as you continue to make more money, the amount of taxes that you pay continue to go up. So for example, if you are a single person filing your taxes in 2025, you will pay 10% tax up to $11,925. And then from $11,926 up to $48,475, you will be taxed at a rate of 12%. And then from $48,476 up to $103,350, your tax rate will jump up to 22%. And as you continue to make more money, the amount of taxes that you will pay will continue to go up. And one of the things that I really used to focus on early on in the process is how do I reduce the amount of taxes that I have to pay on my W-2 income? So for example, if I'm making $60,000 a year and I wanted to figure out what are some of the activities that I can do to reduce my taxable income for the year, I would say, okay, I know that all of the dollars that I make between $48,476 all the way up to $60,000 is going to be taxed at 22%. So if I look at that and I say, okay, I know I'm going to pay taxes on the difference between the $48,476 to my $60,000. What are the options that I have? And the two options that I like the best is investing in your 401k. So if you invest in your 401k and you do a traditional contribution into your 401k, it reduces your taxable income for the year. So if you're making $60,000 and you contribute around $12,500 for the year into your 401k, the top tax amount that you will pay for 2025 will be 12%. Now, there are pros and cons with this approach. Now, the number one pro is that you get to reduce your taxable income, and all of the money that you contribute to your 401k is done with pre-tax dollars, and you don't pay any taxes on any of the contributions or the gains until you retire. That's the pro. Now, the con is that you will have to pay taxes when you start to withdraw that money in retirement. So you have to decide if that is the right play for you. Now, early on in my career, that is something that I took advantage of, right? So I wasn't making a ton of money, but I tried to think of what were ways that I could reduce my W-2 income in order to have more money in my pocket today, as well as fund my financial future. So that was one of the routes that I took. Now, the second option that I really like is contributing to a health savings account. So if you have a high deductible insurance plan through your company, you are often able to fund a health savings account, which essentially is a personal health savings account that you can contribute pre-tax dollars to, which reduce your taxable income, and you are able to put that money into a savings account, and that money could be used for medical expenses either now or in the future. Now, one of the really nice things that I like about the health savings account is that one, you get to contribute pre-tax dollars, and two, you don't pay any taxes on that money as long as you use it for a qualified medical expense. And one of the best features of an HSA is you can invest that money in the stock market, and all of the gains that you make in that account can be withdrawn tax-free as well. Again, you just have to make sure that you are using that money on a qualified medical expense. So again, these are a couple of things that I like to think about this time of year as I'm thinking about the options and the opportunities that I have to reduce my taxable income. And unfortunately, as a W-2 earner, we do not have a lot of options on things that we can do that will reduce our taxable income. Now, the next thing that I start to look at from a financial perspective as I'm putting my plans together is, what does my budget look like? So my budget is set at the beginning of every year, and it's pretty much stays roughly the same throughout the year. I may tweak it here and there, but I have it down pretty much to a pretty good science. I know how much my bills generally cost every month, and I slot those accordingly. I have a set amount that I like to invest in my individual brokerage account every single month, and then I have a set amount that I like to spend on miscellaneous items every single month as well. So I just go through and I make sure that I update my budget and to ensure that I'm capturing anything that may be coming up. So for example, if I have a vacation coming up or I have a purchase that I'm planning to make, I make sure that I budget that in so it doesn't impact all of the other activities that I'm typically doing every single month. Now, the very next thing that I focus on as I'm putting my financial plan together is, what does my debt strategy look like? Now, about 24 months ago, I became completely debt-free other than my mortgage. And the plan is to continue to stay debt-free. Don't have any car payments. I'm not doing any buy now, pay later type of deal. I'm not doing any Klarna, any of that. So the plan will be to continue to be debt-free as long as possible. And the only time that I would potentially go into debt would be if it's for an investment. So for this upcoming year, my debt strategy is really going to revolve around mortgage pay down. So I'm going to put together a plan on how to accelerate the payoff of my mortgage and make sure that I get some extra payments in this year so I can cut down the amount that I owe on my mortgage and continue to increase my equity in my house. And lastly, I'm making sure that I have enough flexibility in my plan to make changes when I need to. We all know that nothing goes as planned, right? So I want to make sure that I'm just not being extremely rigid and I can make changes to any portion of my plan along the way. So there you go. That's a general overview of how I go through my financial planning for an upcoming year. And I can tell you, it has helped me out so much whenever I go into the new year with a plan. So, like they say, if you fail to plan, then you plan to fail.